Although we try to avoid it, we have driven through fog a few times in our motorhome called Herman. And of course, being 25 years old, the headlights, even when full beam, are just like driving with candles. In fact, my mobile phone torch is probably brighter than the headlights on our motorhome. So I've been wanting to fit fog lights for quite some while now. And a few months ago, I was contacted by email by a company called Colite. And they wanted me to look at some strip light or something rather that I could mount to the front or top of a vehicle. Of course, that wouldn't fit with our motorhome whatsoever. It's not an off-road vehicle at all. But I had a look around their website and I found these probably perfect fog lights that we can fit in the recesses in the bumper of our motorhome. And this is what I found. These are 3-inch DBP dual beam fog lights. This is what they look like. They have like 2 bulging lights here, LEDs. The top one will be the 15-watt high brightness white LED, and then the lower one is a 45-watt wide bright yellow LED. When I contacted Colite and told them what I was interested in, they asked me how I was going to mount the lights to the body. They come like this originally with a mounting bracket on the bottom, and I didn't think that was going to be good enough to fit where I wanted them to be fitted. So I asked for the universal kit. Now the universal kit attaches to the sides, so that's what they look like. Attaches to the sides like that, and then so therefore they mount forward. So you have the screws going towards the beam, as it were. I hope that makes sense. I'll show you when I get underneath on my back. In the box you get the 2 lights, there's the other one. You get the 2 mounting brackets, all the nuts and bolts for those brackets, and of course they've also sent me the universal kit as well, which comes with its own set of bolts and an Allen key. Look at that. How many Allen keys does your garage have? I mean, how many do we really need? I mean, I'm not going to use that. It'll probably just be thrown away. They also asked me if I needed the 3-meter wiring loom and switch for it. And I said, yeah, I think I do. And this is what it is. I haven't unraveled this yet, but it looks like the entire wiring loom is in there. And all I really need to do is wire up the positive and negative. The switch does look a bit naff, to be quite honest, and the clickety-click buttons do feel a bit plasticky and cheap. But I mean, they're obviously going to work, I think. But what I intend to do in the future is source some original switches for the dashboard so I can just slot them in and remove this clunky thing. Oh, okay. So what's this end then? This video is sponsored by Colite, but all opinions and comments are my own. Right, I think I've figured it out. Being that there's 2 lights and there's 2 different types of light in the same light, you got 2 powers and negatives, positive and negatives, and they're wired together. You also have 2 inline fuses, 15 amp. Then you have 2 relays, okay, and then you have a massive wire, and then which at one end is the switch where you can remove the switch. At the other end you have 3 wires, right? So I guess 2 of them are power or positive and the other one is negative, and on the lights themselves you have the same colors. So the 2 lights we'd need to wire them up together, color for color, white to white, red to red, blue to bits. let's show you where I'm going to mount the fog lights. So our motorhome is a 1998 Herman B564. On the bumper, this is the fog light recess, and this is where I'm going to mount these fog lights. Once done, this should look something like that. The other side of the hole, which is where my hand is, looks like that. Now you can see that the bumper, this is the bumper that you see from outside, it's a thin plastic. Then you have this extra kind of more sturdier bumper here, which is also plastic. This is actually the chassis. And then we have this shape here, see this here? So this is going to cause us a bit of a problem when we want to mount it, because it's curving away from the light. So this is what I mean. I'm holding the fog light and I've temporarily mounted the bracket that it comes with, and you can see that there isn't much room for some sort of L bracket to go into the plastic there. So I don't think that's an option. It could be an option, but that's not the option that I'm going to be using. Instead, I'm going to be using the universal mounting brackets, which just simply bolt to the sides. Now I've got those brackets in place, there's nothing to bolt onto. The plastic doesn't actually reach that far. So what I intend to do is screw on a couple of strips of aluminium vertically, which then I can screw the brackets to. Hope that makes sense. Makes sense in my head anyway. I'm going to make those vertical strips out of this piece of aluminium, which is 15 by 2 millimeters. So what it looks like I need are two lengths of 15 centimeters. So I've managed to cut my two aluminium strips and I've attached them to the light using these pieces of tape. You can see that I've marked out my drill marks, the holes that I'm going to drill, just there and at the end. And I've also marked out where I'm going to drill for the attachment to the light. Now the reason why I've mocked it up in this way is because there's not much room underneath the motorhome to actually do it correctly. So hopefully this will allow me to get it in some sort of reasonable place before I need to start adjusting it. I managed to drill my holes and I've now attached the bars to the light. These small holes on the end, these were drilled with a 4.5mm drill bit, and the ones in the middle, these were drilled with a 7mm drill bit. The other thing I'm going to do is, well, you see this screw here, I'm going to replace them with my own bolt here. Now the ones I've picked up here, that's an M5 and it's 30mm, it looks like that, which obviously is a bit too long, so I've had to get a hacksaw to it and cut them down to the same length as the original screws. Now why am I doing this? I've realised is that when it's mounted inside the motorhome, I'm going to need to be able to get something in there so I can adjust the height of the beam. And the only way of doing that is I'm not going to be able to get a screwdriver in there, so I've gone for to kind of get the spanner in there and adjust it that way. So that's what I'm doing that for. Now to attach the brackets to the motorhome, I'm going to use these self-tapping screws. So they should just pop in there, yeah. That should give me plenty of length to screw into the plastic. Okay, so we've got a bit of a problem. The right hand side here doesn't seem to be anywhere near the bumper. Seems to be offset a bit, and I think I know why. This is the reason. Now if you look on the right hand side here, the nuts and the bolts are fouling on the bumper. That's my problem. I hadn't even considered that.
One eternity later.
Now, I've been working on this for a while.
I've got 2 of the screws in, and it's actually it's quite solid at the moment. Let me just show you that. Hopefully you can see. So on the right hand side I've got the 2 screws in. Left hand side nothing just yet, but it's looking pretty good. Now it's been a struggle because of the amount of room I have. I'm not able to get a drill in there, so I'm having to use the self-tapping screws to literally make the hole and screw themselves in. So this is what I'm using. I've got a magnet on the end so the screw actually holds on. It also comes with a right angle as well, so which has been very useful. I'm not going to be able to do that without this. The alternative is to take the bumper off, and that looks like even more hard work. Oh, that's it, that's 3 in. Oh, finally. It's solid in there now. Oh, thank goodness for that. That was hard work. And this is what it looks like from the other side. So that is what they look like. Nice and sturdy in there. Now the other thing I've managed to do is the cable that's coming out of it is hanging down, so that if when it rains, the water runs down the cable to the lowest point rather than running into the light. And this is what the right hand side looks like. It didn't take me so long this time because I knew exactly what I needed to do. And again, the cable's running down so that when it rains, it just runs off the cable rather than runs into the light. So now I've got the fog lights mounted. Let's take a look at wiring them up. This is the wiring loom that they sent me. These 2 ends here, these connect to the 2 fog lights. Then you have the switch over here, and then you have the relays, 2 relays. And over there connects to the battery terminals, and we also have inline fuses, 2 of them. I've currently removed them at the moment due to safety reasons. So it should be fairly easy to wire up, really. I just need to connect the positive and the negative to the battery terminal, find a place to mount the relays, chase the 2 cables to the lights through the engine bay, and then wire them up to the lights. Basically be black to black, white to white, red to red. I think the hardest part is actually putting the light switch in, believe it or not, because somehow I've got to get that through the bulkhead and into the drive-in area underneath the dashboard. Well, I've had a look around the engine bay and I've positioned things where I want them to be, and this is what I'm planning on doing. So obviously that's the battery. Now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount the relays about there. Okay, just a couple of screws in there, maybe some washers. Now one of the wires comes around and it easily will connect to the light there. Okay, that's easy enough. Now over here the other light is connected along here, goes around the airbox, comes out here, and again it's fairly simple. Okay, so that will reach as well. Now the light switch is very long, but we're not going to worry about that because it might change in the future anyway. But I can see there's a hole in the bulkhead just around there where all the other wires are going in, and I'm going to see if I can push it through there. Now this is the vacuum line for the adjustable lights, which no longer work, so maybe I'll be able to get in there. Since I got so much cable for the light switch, what I might do is actually just chop off the connector there and feed in the resulting what's left over of this wire, which goes to the relays, and poke that through the hole rather than having to poke that whole thing through, making a much larger hole than I really want. Now, because this is all flexible, pushing it through that rubber is going to be a bit of a problem. So I have stuck a little twig down the end of it and covered it up in electrical tape. Not sure if it's going to help, but let's give it a go. Well, that worked a treat. I managed to push it in a little way, probably about that much. And of course the cable was just bending on me. I've had to remove the part of the dashboard just here. That's where the speaker was being held into, and there's a speaker wire just down there. Now, it took me a few moments to figure out where we needed to go, but chasing or following the vacuum pipes, I managed to figure out that it's coming through. Well, you just have to look at where this cable's going. Just going through there, the back. It's difficult to see, it's very cramped, but I managed to get my hand in there. The connector that I've cut off for the light switch, I'm going to need for reference, because I'm going to need to know what colours of the switch wires match up to the colours of the lights wires. Now I've done all of my wiring, so there shouldn't be anything that I need to attach. I haven't tidied it up, mind. I still need to pin it to the chassis so it doesn't move and just make it generally look tidy. And I think I might also use a bit of shrink wrap as well in some places. But let's connect the fuses and see if these fog lights work. Okay, I've got the buttons in my hand. Let's go for the one on the right. Aha, so that's the narrow white beam. Let's turn that off. And then we have the yellow wide beam. And then together, they look like that. They look very bright from my angle. I can see into my garage there. I'm going to have to test this at night. And being the day after the longest day of the year, that's going to be difficult. It's not going to get dark until about 10:30 in the evening. The sun has just set and I'm out looking for a spot to test these lights out, and I think I found one. So if I turn the light off, you can see there is my headlights. So if I turn off the lights, so now I'm only on my side lights, and turn on the fogs, look how bright they are. Wow, look how bright they are. That is such a difference. Again, with the lights as well, you don't notice it, do you? Now let's try the narrow beam. Now that does look weird. Now if I turn the lights off, now I think one is pointing at the ground and one is pointing at the sky, looking at the stars. So I need to adjust that, but they are going quite far. That's quite, I mean, I've got a tree all the way over there. So that's not too bad, and that's what they're for. So I just need to set them up, just with the lights on. And I'm not going to adjust them now. I'm going to adjust them in the daylight, maybe up against the garage or something. But that is it. I do love them. In fact, let's go outside and see what it looks like. Wow, look at Herman. Look at all the lights. It's like a space invader now. I do like those fog lights. So if you're thinking about getting some LED lights for your car, your motorcycle, motorhome, camper and all that kind of thing, then head on over to the Colite website. They don't just do fog lights and spotlights, they do a whole multitude of lights over there, so check them out. I'll put a link in the video description so you can go straight there. Now if you do order anything, then shipping is free for any orders that are over $49. Well, that's it everybody, end of video. So thank you very much for watching, and if you did find it useful, then give it a thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing, where you'll find us on the road in our motorhome called Herman, and along the way we do a bit of maintenance videos as well. Anyway, see you soon. Bye bye.